Hello everybody, Tyler on the Guide 3 here, and I love Dragon Ball Z. I don't think I've made that as apparent enough as I have. And to help get me prepped and amped and hyped and ready for the Resurrection F movie that's coming out in English dub, note to self, I have watched it already as subs, or at least clips of it as subs, and I pretty much know the plot already due to the spoilers, leaks, and descriptions. But as of now, to prep myself for it, I thought I'd go over a little video. Yes, I know this will probably be uploaded a day before I do the review of episode 4 of Dragon Ball Super, but I wanted to go ahead and go over this topic, and I've been wanting to actually talk about this topic probably a couple of weeks before Super, so I figured I might as well do it now, because why not, and I just want to. So, as you all know, for an anime to be successful, obviously, every anime comes with various scenes of that anime that make it special. Because of this, obviously, there's scenes in Dragon Ball Z that make Dragon Ball Z, well, Dragon Ball Z. I mean, it's one of the most popular anime for a reason, right? Not just because of the fighting and the action pace and the fast pacing. It's because it has very memorable scenes. Much like all stories do, there's various moments in the story that really get you deeply involved. To be honest, there's a lot of moments in Dragon Ball Z that I like that don't even include fighting in them. Just the overall standoff of these characters and how Akira Toriyama has tried his best to make them as realistic as possible. You start to care more for these fictional characters more so than actual characters that exist in real life. Because of this, there's various scenes in Dragon Ball Z that make Dragon Ball Z, well, Dragon Ball Z, as famous as it is. So I decided I was going to go ahead and make a video of the top 5 scenes from Dragon Ball Z that I love the most, that kept me the most involved. So without further ado, I present the top 5 most epic scenes of Dragon Ball Z. Now, I want to go over a couple of rules before I go through this countdown. The two that I won't be picking in terms of scenes will be the obvious Krillin gets killed by Frieza scene. Sorry, I can't talk today. I won't be picking the Frieza kills Krillin scene, nor will I be picking the Cell kills Android 16 scene. Both of these scenes are really good within themselves, but I felt that they were too generic and obvious in order to pick. Yes, these are really powerful scenes, especially Android 16's speech to Gohan before he gets his head crushed, but I felt that it was too obvious of a scene to put in the top 5 like this. I'm going for scenes that are a little bit more unexpected. So if your favorite scene doesn't show up here, I'm sorry about that. This is a top 5 video, which means it is my choice. And if you're looking for the troll nerd, I've completely locked him up. I really don't care right now. Anyway, I won't be picking those scenes. Now, for those of y'all who actually go into the Dragon Ball Z episodes and have watched all of them, uncut and all, I will also not be including the episodes where Vegeta and Piccolo have basically monologued to themselves about how powerful Goku has and have conceded to the fact that he is stronger than they are. Piccolo had this scene when Goku was fighting Frieza while he was at Super Saiyan and everybody else was wished back and brought back to Earth. Vegeta had a similar scene like this when Goku was at Super Saiyan 3 on Supreme Kai's planet fighting against Kid Buu. I won't count these two scenes more or less because they're monologue scenes and they're basically flashback versions of the characters going to accept Goku as the stronger warrior. Why didn't I pick these scenes for as powerful as they are? I do like them. I just felt that these two scenes were too similar and were honorable mentions, and they're more or less monologues that only involve the one character within themselves. Most of the scenes I pick involve either more than one character or it's not even dialogue whatsoever, but something that the character does in order to change the course of the story as we know it. So, like I said, without further ado, let's get this started. Number 5. I call this scene Gohan Returns to train. The one thing I really like about this scene, first of all, is a scene that you can only catch in a filler episode of Dragon Ball Z. More specifically, if you watch the full Dragon Ball Z and you watch episode 16. The episode's called Run Gohan, Longing for Mount Pals, where Chi-Chi is waiting. In this scene, Gohan is actually spending the day with a couple of orphans that he meets while he was training. Once he gets a drive back to the woods, he actually runs through Mount Pals and is able to see Chi-Chi cooking inside of the house. It's Gohan's chance to finally go home. He doesn't have to endure Piccolo's harsh training anymore, and he doesn't have to be out in these woods facing nature. He can return home to his studies and to a nice home-cooked meal. But what does he do? He chooses not to do any of that. He stops, realizes that he has the power to protect the Earth against the Sand. During his training, he realized what it truly meant to protect something. In episodes prior to that, he lost a robot and a dinosaur and several other friends that he met while he was fending for himself in the woods. Because of this, Gohan realizes that while he does want to return back to his studies and return back to a normal child life with his family, he would much rather fight to protect. This is where Gohan gets his overall theme from, to protect. He's not like Goku, who fights for sport. He fights to protect. And because of this, he knew that only he had the strength in order to change things for the course of the story, and returns back to Piccolo. Piccolo sees all of this and asks him is he ready to train with him, and he accepts, which starts the course for Gohan officially beginning his training against fighting the Sand. That's why I really adore this scene, and I really like it because it changes Gohan's mindset from someone who used to be a crying toddler to a grown boy who's realized his resolution as a true warrior. Number 4. I just called this scene Frieza! More specifically, this is the scene where Frieza appears shortly after Porunga has died because the Namekian Dragon Balls are turned into stone and Porunga has no more life force left. I like this scene in particular because throughout the entire Namekian saga up till this point, Vegeta as well as Gohan and Krillin were all trying to gather the Dragon Balls in their own particular type of way while trying to avoid Frieza. Vegeta just straight up goes rebel renegade mode on most of Frieza's soldiers, while Krillin and Gohan try to sneak past Vegeta and Frieza because of the fact that they're not strong enough to face either of them in battle. They eventually succeed and get the Dragon Balls and wish Piccolo back to life and bring him to planet Namek. However, the last wish to make Vegeta immortal winds up failing and doesn't work. Because of this, Frieza then shows up and he is pissed. Using the Dragon Ball that Frieza was trying to use for the entirety of the saga up to this point made Frieza pissed. And the fact that he appeared in front of our Z-Warriors and is known to be the strongest in the galaxy brought chills to my spine the minute I saw Frieza show up in front of Krillin, Gohan, and Vegeta ready to destroy them. It's a really powerful scene and it's really chilling. I just love the standoff that happens when Vegeta has no choice but to join forces with our Z-Warriors in order to fend off against one of the most evil galactic tyrants in the face of the universe. It's funny to note that Krillin's the first one to shout out that Frieza's here, and he's the first one to shout out that Frieza came back after he got hit by Goku's Spirit Bomb. Maybe Krillin just has this ability to sense Frieza before everybody else. Number 3. I call this scene Comi and Piccolo standoff. A lot of y'all recognize this scene because it happens after another scene that I'm going to mention later on in the video. Long story short, Piccolo realizes that his only way to defeat the androids is to fuse with Comi. Since they haven't been fused since prior to Dragon Ball Z, they needed to fuse bodies again. Comi is confronted with this overall choice of Piccolo trying to fuse with him because Comi has spent most of his life trying to get rid of Piccolo when he was still King Piccolo form. He did this mostly due to the fact that Comi was tried his best to get rid of Piccolo so that he could become Guardian of the Earth. We get to see a lot of Comi's character development in this scene because Comi is basically conflicting with the fact that he has to fuse back with his evil half. Although Piccolo's not really as evil as he was, but because of this we get to see Comi go through self-conflict. And because of this, having the conflict literally with himself, he has an argument with Piccolo whether or not it is the right thing to do to fuse. It's his choice to make, and yes, it is the best choice for the Earth, but it's still his choice to make. I just love the overall emotions between these scenes, and even the moment where it's completely silent. I also love Bruce Faulconer's rendition of it because Bruce Faulconer basically gives him this thing where Comi has the piano half of the music while Piccolo has the more guitar half to represent both of their sides. And when they finally fuse together, the music fuses together as well, making for a very powerful union between two ancient Namekians that have existed on planet Earth. Number 2, I call this scene Majin standoff. For those of y'all who don't know, this is the scene where Vegeta gets mind controlled by Babidi and turns into Majin Vegeta, then is instantly teleported into the World Martial Arts Tournament along with Gohan, Supreme Kai, and Goku. After this, Vegeta winds up destroying a large half of the World Martial Arts Auditorium. He does this basically because of the fact that he's, well, evil again, I guess. But he more or less does this to flare Goku up to get him mad so that they can go ahead and fight. I really love this scene because of all of the emotions that take place, mostly anger between Goku and Vegeta. Vegeta, due to the fact that he wants to fight Goku now and won't take anything outside of that, even through Babidi's words. And Supreme Kai is basically frantic and scared during this point because he's lost all control of the situation. Their one chance in order to stop Majin Buu from being resurrected is now being put into question, all because of the fact that Vegeta has gone back to his evil ways. Goku is very angry and conflicted with this and wants to fight Vegeta, not because he's for sport of things anymore, but because it's gotten serious. He's pretty disappointed in the fact that Vegeta chose to destroy a large amount of people. Goku's also conflicted on whether or not the fact that Vegeta chose to destroy these people because he was controlled by Babidi or because of Vegeta's arrogant wants to fight him. The rivalry between Goku and Vegeta really shows off in this scene and in this scene alone. The emotions get so hyped up to the point where Goku even threatens, yes threatens, to kill Supreme Kai. Yes, he threatens to kill Supreme Kai. This is Goku we're talking about, threatening to kill Supreme Kai. In the end, Supreme Kai has no choice but to back off because, he can't really stop the powers of Goku and Vegeta at this point. They've reached a level that Supreme Kai just can't comprehend. And he goes ahead and goes through the alternatives to help Gohan stop the resurrection of Majin Buu. But everything before that at the World Tournament, literally Babidi describes it the best. They're at each other's throats. And I love this scene for it. It's just so powerful. Judging from the fact that we can see it all from the perspective of the audience, we can just see that Goku and Vegeta mean business, and they're truly angry at each other at this scene. I really love the fact that Goku's so serious, and I love the monologues that Vegeta gives. There's two very important quotes that Vegeta gives. The second one's too long for me to say, but the first one before that basically is where Goku asks, why do you want yourself to become a slave to Babidi? Vegeta then states, tell me, is it slavery when you get what you want? Something you really have to stop and think about. So I love this scene just for the overall tension of the moment. And number 1, my most favorite scene in Dragon Ball Z in general, I call this scene the Android Loss. So if those of y'all who don't know, in this scene, it's basically in the Android Saga. You notice that 2 of these happen in the Android Saga, because the Android Saga is my favorite saga. Anyway, in this scene, what ends up happening is that Vegeta ends up losing the Android 18, and then later Trunks loses the Android 18. Piccolo gets his butt kicked by Android 17, and Tien gets choked out by Android 17 as well, and Krillin is basically left with no choice but to surrender. This scene is powerful due to the fact that all of the Z Warriors have basically lost. Every anime has that moment where a group of shonen anime heroes gets together and they, for the most part, win their most infamous battles. But there is that one saga in particular where characters wind up getting, their asses kicked, but not necessarily destroyed. One Piece had this moment where they were dealing in the Davy Back sagas where they were dealing with this Navy. I can't remember his name, but he uses ice powers to basically beat the crap out of Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro. Another moment happens in Zatch Bell like this, where Zatch and Kyo lose to Barry and Guskov. Barry and Guskov don't destroy their book, however, Zatch and Kyo have realized that they have been overwhelmed and must get stronger in order to fight off even tougher Momotos like Barry and Guskov. So, with that said, Dragon Ball Z finally had its moment where anime characters, or our Z Warriors in our situation, realized that even with all of the strength they have, their luck has officially run out. On top of all of this, Goku is suffering the heart virus back at home, which in a way means that he's lost as well. With Goku down on the heart virus, as well as our famous Z Warriors finally getting their asses kicked from a very powerful villain, they needed to lock down and get stronger. And they all did. I mean, look at it. Piccolo fused with Comi in order to become stronger. Goku and the others got into the hyperbolic time chamber in order to get stronger, and they did. And even Tien got stronger at some point. He was able to hold off semi-perfect Cell. So I just really love that moment, and I love the fact that the Z Warriors have finally faced a moment where everything went down for the count for them. And I love their comeback in the end of the saga. But with that all being said, those are some very powerful moments in Dragon Ball Z. So, with that all being said, I ask you, what are your favorite scenes in Dragon Ball Z? Maybe I missed one. Hell, like Goku and Piccolo driving a car. That's freaking awesome. The reason I didn't put it in here is because it isn't emotionally epic. It's just funny. So, with that said, check it out. What are your favorite scenes? And if you haven't already, go check out Dragon Ball Z. The anime is freaking glorious. Check out Super as well. And I'll be doing reviews on those. So until then, I'll see you all then. Tyrone the God 3 out.